Hello, everyone. Sonder fam, welcome to our December monthly setup on this Thanksgiving evening. Um, Happy Thanksgiving to all those who are celebrating Thanksgiving or Indigenous Peoples Day, or hopefully just a day of giving thanks and gratitude as we go into what I call kind of the more dark hours of the year. Right, it's always a little stressful, right, when things get dark so early, but it's kind of fun because we have these holidays and things to celebrate, and we are happy to be here tonight celebrating with you. So, yeah, my name is Maya, and I am coming to you from Denver, Colorado, where it was a lovely day today. The weather was very cooperative. Yesterday was kind of cold and snowy, but it warmed up today. Everything was all melted off. It was lovely. And I am joined tonight by the fabulous Karen, who is here coming to us from California. She'll pop on and give you all a little wave. Um, so good to see everyone here. And she is in California, which I'm assuming was not cold and snowy yesterday. And I'm not sure what the weather is there, but hopefully the weather where you are is good. Karen said it was a beautiful day. Fabulous, fabulous. So it is so great to see everyone. I do just a few little housekeeping things. Make sure that you set your chat to everyone. That way everyone can see what you're saying. A lot of times it tends to default to host and panelist, which means that Karen and I are the only ones who will see it. So if you only want us to see it, that's absolutely fine. But it's always something you want to make sure that it says everyone so that everyone can kind of see what you are sharing there in the chat. Also, a few other just community guidelines. We want to make sure that this is a safe and respectful place. And so we just ask that you're kind and courteous to both yourself and others. No promotions or spam, respecting everyone's privacy. We're not, if you know anyone here in real life, you're not bringing what they say in the chat out into the outside of the Sonder social. No hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. The best place for those really is in our app in Sonder Club, that then folks can give you can give you links and those kinds of things. That's another point I want to make. Sometimes the links that are put in the chat here will not be clickable. And that was with one of the Zoom updates. So especially, I think sometimes if you're on your phone or maybe an iPad, so just know you might need to take a screenshot of any of the links if you need to go to that later. Also, if you have any customer care inquiries like billing or changed your shipping address, or something happened to your journal, those all go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Karen and I don't have access to your account, so we can't see kind of what's going on or anything like that. But the hello@silkandsonder.com can help. They are a Monday through Friday business, and they are on the West Coast. So just know, especially here with the holiday weekend, if you have to send them an email, just give them a little bit of time to respond back. And then ultimately, these Sonder socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there is anything that we work on that's kind of not your jam, feel free to kind of work on whatever. Obviously, we're doing the monthly setup tonight, but if you maybe don't want to use one of those pages and you want to work on something else, that's absolutely fine with you. If you don't like the music I'm playing, you can always put that on mute if that's not your jam. If my voice isn't your jam, you can put me on mute. We have the closed captioning on. You can turn those on so you can see that. Really, this is your time. And so we are so happy that you've carved out a little bit of time to spend with us. We are here for a little bit longer than the typical hour. So we're here for an hour and 15 minutes. So a little bit longer tonight. But if you have to leave early, no worries. We record these. Those are all on our YouTube channel. We'll give you all those links here at the end. And they send you links in your email so you can always kind of catch up with whatever was going on. Also, I'm the only one that you can hear and see unless Karen pops on, right? So your microphones are off, your cameras are off. So whatever's going on in your background, kiddos screaming, puppies, kitties making noise, all of those kinds of things, right? Like, don't worry, no one else can hear you, no one can see you. It's perfectly fine. Again, we are here for you to be able to really kind of set up that month of December and see how things go. So This month's theme, hopefully you have seen if you have your journal. If you haven't gotten your journal yet, no worries. Sticky notes are going to be your friend as you get ready to set up. And when you get the journal, you'll be all good to go. This month's theme is optimism, which is kind of a fun way, I think, to end the year with this sense of optimism. And I always try to tell people, like, if the theme word isn't hitting just right, pick a different word, right? Don't feel like you're stuck with this word for the month, right? Find a different word that you want to kind of focus on. Sometimes synonyms are your friends, right? So maybe it's more, maybe you want to go more with this month as a month of positive vibes or a positive outlook or positive perceptions, or think about motivation or those kinds of things. And I threw in a few quotes in here. Denise said hope. I love that. Just a few quotes kind of thinking about this idea of optimism. So optimism is not about ignoring the negative. And I think that's really important because sometimes there's kind of a fake optimism, and that's not what we're talking about here, right? Optimism is really not about ignoring the negative, but about choosing to focus on the positive and believing in the potential for a better outcome. So again, not fake, right? We're not doing toxic positivity or that kind of thing here, right? We really are wanting to, yes, we know things are negative. We're going to focus on what's positive, even if it's small positive things, and really think about believing in that potential for a better outcome in the future. So optimism is a faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. And then I love this little quote about there is freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky, and you ask, what if I fail? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? Right. And that's optimism, right? What if you fly? What if instead of the what if I fall focus, we're going to focus on what if I fly? And that really is where we're kind of thinking about going with this idea of optimism. And then I also have a little screenshot that was from our Silk and Sonder Instagram that has things like this winter is full of growth, good news, progress, love, good energy, healing, unexpected blessings, and new opportunities. Again, we really want this to be kind of a mindset, not to say that bad things don't happen, because they certainly do, but really just taking that mindset and seeing where we can go with it, right? Focusing on that positive and see how that influences our month. So I always like to recommend to folks, if you haven't had a chance to read Meha's letter, she always does a little letter for us on page 2 of the journal every month that kind of gives a little bit of an insight into what she's thinking with this theme, right? And I like how she talks about, for some people, December sparkles with optimism, but for others, it can be full of overwhelm and pressure, right? And so again, we've kind of got these two pieces that are kind of happening. And so she invites us to look for the glimmers. So if you haven't heard of glimmers, they're the opposite of triggers, right? So glimmers are those little things in the day that make you smile, that make you laugh, that just kind of give you that little bit of breath of fresh air, right? It doesn't have to be something huge. It can just be something very small. I will tell you, one of my favorite glimmers is when I'm driving down the street and there is a dog in the car in front of me or next to me with his head stuck out the window, and they are so happy, right? Dog, and they're just like, their tongues hanging out and they're just panting and they're just looking all around and they are just so happy. And I think, oh, if I could just grab onto that happiness of a doggo, right? Yes, Taylor's like, doggo living their best lives. Those are my little glimmers. It always just makes me smile, and it's something small, right? And then again, that idea of what if things go right, right? Really thinking about that. What if things go right? What if things work out for me? What if, like, what does that look like? And it's an opportunity to face our fears, doubts, and challenges, because we have those. Oh, Taylor's going to bring me a puppy for Christmas. My cats would not be happy with the puppy. I would love a puppy. Um, and then let go of worries, judgment, and fears. And I love this quote: relentless optimism is contagious, right? So think about how your vibe, right? Like how you're kind of going through things could really be a glimmer maybe for some else, right? Yeah, and Denise is saying her glimmering the beautiful snow clinging on the trees. Yes. It's so pretty, right? So lovely to see. So think about that kind of as we go through this optimism, as we think about what this month is going to bring for you. So here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to do a little opening activity. We're going to do some reflections for November. we're going to set our December intentions. We're going to work on our mood tracker and we're going to work on our habit tracker. And if you've been with me before, you know I always have these two little cartoons in here from the artist, the latest Kate. And she always has these super cute little feel good kinds of little quotes and things. And so the first one with the little pile of kitties is there's room for you here just as you are. And this also goes to that idea of there's good things and there's not so good things, right? And so sometimes great things have been going on, things have been wonderful. You've got a new job, getting a new house, doing those kinds of things, right? We love to share. We love to celebrate with you. Love, love, love to celebrate. But sometimes things don't go great, right? Sometimes people lose jobs, people get sick, people lose family members, people lose pets, things happen, people get in car accidents. There's room for you here too, right? Share those things as well. And we are here to sympathize, empathize with you, maybe offer advice, or sometimes just hearing somebody else say, oh, girl, me too. Right. Like that's what we're here for. And there's room for you here, however you're showing up tonight. Right. And the other thing, speaking of feelings, is the way you feel matter, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. No one can tell you, oh, you shouldn't be mad about that, or oh, you should be happy with this, or right. Like our feelings are our feels, and that's just how they are. Right. And so we're here for all of it. We're here for the good feels, the maybe challenging feels, all of that. We're here for you. So let's dive in to our first little warm up. So we're going to get you warmed up thinking about optimism. So, every month we've been doing an acrostic poem, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to find a blank page or maybe a sticky note or scratch paper, something like that, thoughts journal if you have that. What are some things that come to mind when you think of the word optimism? Don't try and second guess yourself, just write them down. Try to come up with at least 8 words or phrases that describe what optimism means to you. Now see if you can maybe work it into a poem where the first letter of each line is a letter from the word optimism. You could do sentences, one word, sets of words for each line, kind of whatever works for you. So if you want to, you could just write the word optimism down, right? And on one of your blank pages, or again, some people like to use that page. There's the page with the definition on there. So I think that's page 3. You could always use that to do this in there. So you just kind of want to write optimism down. And then here's some examples that I found online just to kind of give you an idea of what some other folks have done. So this idea of opening doors to brighter days, paths where dreams begin to blaze, time whispers softly, urging change in every moment, life's vast range. Moments filled with laughter, song, in the dance of right and wrong, shining brightly, the future gleams, mind's awake, alive with dreams. It does not have to be rhymey kind of poem, right? Like whatever works for you. I also threw in a bunch of other words like hopeful and positive, bright, cheerful, if you want to try to kind of find something to work into that. The other one says outlook, hopeful, ever bright, positive mind, a guiding light, trusting in the future's sight, inspiring hope, morning's light, making dreams a reality, igniting joy eternally. Ooh, joy. So we pulled in November's theme, right? Shining through adversity, motivating hearts wild and free. So I will let you work on this. I will play a little bit of music. Feel free to share in the chat if you would like, and we'll check back in here in just a few moments. All right, how did we do? I saw some folks had put it in the chat. I know it's hard sometimes when you're writing and then are trying to put things into the chat. So I saw, we'll see if my chat will hold still long enough for me to read it. Jan had offering plans that invite magical, intriguing, and special moments. I love that. That's like a great sentence. That's like a tagline, right, for the month. I love that. And then who else did I see? Georgette had outlook, positivity, truth, imagine, motivating, inspiring, sincerity, and merry. So, yeah, it can be just one word, it can be a sentence. Sometimes I'll do it where the letter is actually kind of like more in the middle of the word. So you can kind of play with that. So, if that's something that's fun you enjoy doing, you can kind of work on that and tweak it and kind of play throughout the month. And we love, if you want to share in Sonder Club, we love seeing those. No pressure, right? Just totally if you're feeling like you want to share. But thank you all for indulging in that for just a few moments as you kind of think through this idea of opportunity. Again, it's a good idea, kind of helps you get that mindset going, right? So let's dive into our monthly planner. And if you have seen, the stickers for this month are super cute. I like the little snowman and the little paint brush and that kind of thing. And we have the little matchy monthly stickers, so those are always kind of fun to see. The other thing I wanted to mention is some people like to do this, and we're not going to take time to do it together, but this is something that somebody does every month. When one month ends and another month starts, they will spend just a few minutes saying goodbye to the previous month. So you can say goodbye to November and anything you maybe want to thank November for, quick reflection, and then maybe spend a few minutes saying hello to December. What are you hopeful for? What are you anticipating? And what do you want to see? So a couple fun ways to think about how to do that transition month. I also did want to mention it's good to take screenshots or take a little picture with your phone camera if you're on your computer so that you can remember and kind of go back to some of these later if this is something that you think might be interesting or kind of fun to do. But and these came from Sonder Club, right? From people sharing. So, as we dive into these November reflections, which are over on page 8, we have you think about for the month wins, challenges, favorite moments, and then what do you want to start, stop, and continue. So, here's what that page looks like, right? And those wins are something that you did, something that made you smile, maybe something that made you happy, an accomplishment. A lot of times I will, if I have been, if I have been knitting quite a bit, I will put like what knitting projects maybe I have finished, those kinds of things. Challenges are those things that maybe something that didn't go right, something out of your control. Maybe it's a stumbling block, a frustration. Those favorite moments are just that, right? Whatever were your favorite moments. Sometimes it's the same thing as the wins, right? So just kind of thinking of what those favorite moments are. And I always like to give folks some tips. If you've been with us for a while, you might want to look back through November, your rosebud and thorn from each week in those weekly spreads and see what you wrote down for that. That can help you with those wins and challenges and favorite moments. I also suggest that you use your phone to review your calendar and your photos, right? Scrolling through your photo reel, and kind of look and see what maybe what you did for the month. Because a lot of times I have a tendency to forget all the things I did in the month. So yeah, the photos are super helpful. And then that start, stop, and continue box, right? So the start are things that are not being done that maybe you want to do, things that you want to begin doing to get better results, things that are worth trying or experimenting with for those better results. And the things you want to stop are those things that are not working, they're not helping, things that are impeding your progress, things that are not practical. Oh yeah, Monica says she has a Silk and Sonder folder on her phone. I love that. Things that are not delivering desired results, things you dislike, things that no longer serve you. And then continue are those things that are working well, things you want to keep. You want to maybe keep doing it to see if it's worthwhile. Maybe you haven't seen results yet, but you think it might take a little more, things you like or things you need. And so I did want to give you a few examples of those start, stop, and continue things, of different kinds of things that people have put on there. And then notice there's like the one in the middle, they are focusing on health and wellness. And then they say what they want to start. So they say what, increasing activity, why it improves their health and how. More somatic yoga and walking. So they're very specific. They have kind of that what, why, and how in each box. They want to stop eating so late. Why? Because it's not healthy. How? No food after 7 p.m. Right. And then they want to continue what their daily walks because it improves their mood and helps them stay active, and they're spending time outside walking. So that's kind of a fun way to kind of get your brain engaged and thinking about that. Another thing you could try is the formula here of the I feel X and Y because of A or B, and I want to feel Z, right? So they have I feel, they crossed out the start and said, I feel tired, slothy, burnt out. Because seasons are changing, routines are changing, and I've been doing a lot. So I need to prioritize rest, movement, grace, and consistency, or you want to feel, right? So those are kind of some fun ways to think about how you might want to tweak some of these different areas here for the start, stop, and continue. So I'll be quiet. I will let you work on these pages. I will just kind of cycle through. We don't have a lot of examples here, but I'll just kind of cycle through these 2 pages and let you take a look. And then we'll check back in here in just a moment. All right. So how do we do? Did we do a good job kind of reflecting and thinking of, kind of how November went for us? It's still hard for me to believe November is over already. Well, I guess we still have a few days left of it, but right. So it's always good to just spend just a few minutes really kind of reflecting on that month, kind of thinking how things went, and then thinking about what you want to do differently or the same for the next month. So thank you all for taking time to kind of think about that and share what kinds of things that you are thinking of doing. Yeah, so I can go back. So was this the slide, Amanda? I think that you were. Yep, perfect. So yeah, so it's always kind of good. And again, this is a great place to use those rosebud and thorn. So if you're new and you at the end of each week in the journal, we spend a little bit of time doing the reflections on our rosebud thorns from the week. So those are always good to go back to, and helps with this reflection piece, right? So now let's flip over and look at those intentions for the month of December, right? And these intentions really are things that areas of our lives, and we give you suggestions of areas to focus on. You do not have to take these suggestions. You can always draw a line through, put some washi tape over, and give it a different heading. But we have for you spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals. So, when you think of these intentions, maybe you want to use the theme of optimism to help you frame those intentions. Maybe you want to focus on one area like self love or self talk. Maybe you want to use the name of a song or maybe song lyrics that inspire you in that area. Really thinking about how you want to feel this month in each area. You can use stickers, colors, images. Maybe you want to think of one thing you want to let go of and one thing you want to start doing for each of these areas. You can also maybe just focus on one area. So here are those areas. There's what your page looks like on page 9, right? Maybe you think, this month I'm really going to focus on my physical health and I'm not going to do those. This is on page 9. So maybe you want to focus on 2 for the month of December. You don't have to use every space of your journal, right? We always laugh and say, you don't have to fill up every space. There are no journal police. We are not going to come knocking on your door and ask to see your journal and tell you didn't fill it out right. This really is for you, for what works for you. And so I also kind of put a few things. So like December, thinking about kind of what December has in terms of like awareness, or it's kind of like a month kind of thing. So it's Learn a Foreign Language Month. So maybe you want to think of some of your intentions toward that. Seasonal Affective Disorder Awareness Month. So I think that is something that I struggle with a little bit, with the lack of light, right? So what can I do? Maybe what are some intentions around that? HIV/AIDS Awareness Month and National Human Rights Month for the month of December. So then I also kind of popped in a couple more quotes for you, because I always like to find some quotes that relate to our theme. So an optimist understands that life can be a bumpy road, but at least it is leading somewhere. They learn from mistakes and failures and are not afraid to fail again. So maybe one of your intentions in your personal life is to learn from a particular mistake or a failure that's happened in this last month, or maybe even in the last year, and think about how you are going to learn from that and how you are going to move forward. Another one is, you got to look for the good in the bad, the happy in your sad, the gain in your pain, and what makes you grateful, not hateful. So maybe there's some things that have happened that have kind of made you jaded toward different things, right? And so again, kind of look for the good in the bad. And I like that part about what makes you grateful, not hateful. Another one says, when it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars. And then part of being optimistic is keeping one's head toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. So notice optimism, I think a lot of times has this forward momentum idea. So maybe that's something that you can kind of wrap into your intentions as well. So like it says on this page 9, setting intentions is not making a to-do list. It's asking something of yourself and then giving yourself the strength to do it. It's important to let go of the pressure of perfection and use the ideas that are going to work for you. So maybe it's just a few words, right? So lean in, slow down, be kind, be present, share the load, be curious, right? Those are phrases that you can use in either any of those. Here are some other examples. Some people like to use stickies to brainstorm this process before they commit it to paper, right? So great idea. Some people like to do beautiful little doodles and with their colors and little drawings, super fun. One person left a space for reflection. So they kind of crossed out the money management section and just called it review. So they can kind of reflect on those areas. Other things that people have changed, they changed money management to home and garden management. Personal life to creative life, professional goals to learning goals or learnings. Those are all good ideas. I think somebody was saying Taylor's going to change money management to time management for this month, right? Because sometimes December time can tend to get away from us a little bit. So you want to maybe think about that. Some people like to do the scrapbook style, right? We've got lots of fun little pictures that they kind of popped in there, little phrases. One word, right? Rest, health, move, love, save, focus, right? One word for your intention. Again, stickers, always fun to kind of pop in there. Fun to use those. And I always tell people, if you have a big sticker collection, right, some of your older stickers may be feeling sad because they have not been able to fulfill their sticker destiny. So maybe this is their sticker destiny, as they can help inspire you for these intentions. So maybe you want to pull them out and pop them in. You don't have to wait for the perfect time to use your stickers. They just want to be used. They want to be able to be inspiring for you. So pop those in there. Don't be afraid to put those stickers in. Maybe you want to have a simple statement. Again, song titles. I like the one that looks like kind of little envelopes where they've colored things in. They have their intention and then they have some action items in the little triangles. So I think that's kind of a fun idea to kind of think about. Quotes, different kind of quotes from different people. So if you have a favorite author, you can sometimes just Google quotes by that author around that area, right? Like money management quotes from, whoever, and then kind of see what pops in, what pops up for you, what kinds of things that you can find. Whoops. So I'm just going to cycle through these so you can see these examples. Again, remember to take some pictures, take some screenshots so that if you want to come back later and look at it, feel free to share in the chat what you're using, and kind of maybe what some of those intentions are. If you're repurposing any of those areas, you're changing some of those titles, let us know, and we will check back in here in just a few moments. All right. So, did you come up with some good intentions? I saw that Monica said, I'm thinking about Black Friday intentions that will keep money in the bank. I love that. Yeah, it's like I am already getting bombarded with all sorts of different things about, like, oh, don't you need this? Or, oh, look at this great deal. Look at this great sale. One thing that I have found that really helps me when my money management goal is to avoid impulse purchases is I unsubscribe from a ton of just various merchant people who have, I've signed up for to get discounts and those kinds of things. I'll go through like on a daily basis and just unsubscribe from like 5 of the emails that I got during the day, which is really helpful because then you don't see the email that tells you it's on sale. Same thing with text messages, right? Because everybody's like, oh, sign up for a text message and you can get a discount, which is fine when you need the thing and you want the discount, but then you just need to tell them to stop. You can just write the word stop in a little text message and then it goes away, and that temptation is gone. It's a little trickier when you're like scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or something, and then you still kind of see the ads. But trying to remove temptation is always tricky to do, but it is something that you can do. So that's a nice intention sometimes when you're thinking of that. With yeah, with with that money management. Yeah, and Karen is saying Bath and Body is killing me today with the 3-for-1. I know it's one of those like, oh, I don't need more of these things, right? I need to take a little break. So now let's dive into our mood and our habit trackers. These two little sections can be super helpful for tracking different things and kind of setting things up for us to be mindful of doing doing during that month. Oh, and I just saw Sarah said she uses her AI coach to help with intentions. So that is, and it's not cheating. Right. So is that the Silk and Sonder the personalized coaching that you're using, Sarah? Yes, she said yes. So we'll talk a little bit about that toward the end of the social as well. But yeah, so that's great. And it's not cheating, right? That is definitely just helping. So I love that idea if it helps you with some intentions. So the first thing we're going to look at is our mood tracker, which is on page 10. And the mood tracker really can help us understand trends and how we're feeling. Maybe we can notice kind of what's going on and then begin to make some shifts. And it helps us bring tools into what works when those positive moods or those moods that we want to feel are showing up for us, right? And I found this and I thought this was a really good quote to put in when we talk about moods and those kinds of things, right? And so it says, how do you stay positive? I don't. I accept every emotion I feel without shame or guilt and work through it. I am not one dimensional. I am a trillion parts and I love and accept them all. The goal isn't positivity, it's self acceptance, right? And this is a great thing to think about when we track moods, because sometimes people say, oh, well, I'm only going to track the positive moods, right? And I tried to do that one month and it felt really forced and fake and not authentic to who I was, right? And so really the goal isn't positivity per se, it's just to notice and kind of track those things, right? And so here's a couple different ways you can do this. Maybe you want to choose 2 or 3 of the negative or the more challenging feelings, 1 neutral and 2 or 3 positive feelings. Maybe you want to focus on optimism. Maybe you want to do on a scale of 1 to 6, how optimistic were you that day, right? With 1 being not very optimistic at all and 6 being super optimistic. Maybe you want to fill in every emotion that comes up for the day, or fill in what emotion was the strongest for the day. Maybe you want to use stickers, colored pens, doodles, or something just to kind of create that key that you see there. One of the things I've done when I've tracked moods is if I tried to track every emotion or every mood that came up for the day, that would be kind of a big blob of of gray or something, right? When I would try to combine all the colors. So what I would do is at noon, when I set my my Fitbit is set to give me an alarm at noon to remind me to take my noon supplements. So I would also note what mood I was in at noon, right? So it was kind of like my noontime mood. And so that was kind of interesting to kind of see, and you could kind of notice trends of workday versus weekends, those kinds of things, or when different things were happening. So that's one way that you could potentially do it if you want to pick like one time of the day to track the mood that you're feeling right then. And then here's the feelings wheel, the mood wheel. And I did notice that optimistic is one of the feelings under the little joy slice, right? So maybe that's something that you want to feel. And I'll cycle through this. And again, this is a good one to kind of take a snap so you can kind of see what, if you want to use any of these words, right? And again, there's the more challenging feelings, or what we might call the negative feelings, and then there's the positive or the happier feelings. You can pick a mix of those to kind of take a look, right? So here's some examples of things that folks have done, picking things. The one up in the top, they have creative and inspired, or optimistic, happy, joyful, blah, sad, down, or worried and stressed. Right. And it's always interesting. I'm always interested to see how people decide to set up, which side they set up as maybe the more positive or the more challenging feelings. Because I always do challenging on the left and the happier, easier feelings maybe on the right. But then it's always interesting to kind of see. I mean, you can set it up however you want, right? Yeah. And Donna's saying feelings are neither good nor bad. They just are, right? They're just feelings. And so this is an opportunity for us to maybe kind of sit with that feeling. If I checked that on one day that I was worried and stressed at noon, then I might reflect later and be like, okay, why was I worried and stressed? What did I do to let myself feel that feeling? Right? What was going on? How did I feel when I felt that? What was happening? And then did I do something to feel better, to change my feeling? Like, what did that look like? Another person has happy, anxious, and sentimental, depressed, romantic, and crabby, right? So they have, and they've used kind of little colored hashtags to kind of keep track in there. And then another person kind of did their version of the feelings wheel and wrote the different words, right? So joy was pleased, satisfied, amused, content, happy, proud, like could encompass any of those different feelings. And then they use the little stickers to track anger, sadness, surprise, joy, love, and I think the other one's fear, the one that you can't see that's off on the edge, right? And then I did put in, because this looks like one of my little kitties, that says, in case of emergency, cuddle with the cat, or you could cuddle with the puppies, right? I know Taylor has some little puppies that she's taking care of. She posted a cute picture on in Sonder Club. So yes, you can track these for the moods. And yes, this is how we had set it up, but you do not have to track moods, right? Maybe you want to repurpose this for an affirmation tracker, or an anxiety level tracker, or depression levels, energy levels, a scale of 1 to 10 to track a particular feeling, right? So here's some examples of that. This person tracked, they called it energy tracker, and then they kind of have physical, mental, emotional, sensory, spiritual, social, and creative. Excuse me. And they did little symbols for each one to kind of to track to see what that looked like. Here's one. This is one of our other facilitators. Bailey has used this to help track her anxiety levels. She's been very open about talking about how she struggles with anxiety. And by tracking this was very helpful for her when she was working with her therapist. And I saw Amanda is saying, I'm doing an anxiety tracker this month. My therapist and psychiatrist suggested that to do that as a good idea. Yes. This is really helpful to kind of have some data to show you, because have you ever noticed sometimes you'll say, oh, I'm always mad. I'm always stressed. I'm always so anxious. I'm always this. And we have a tendency to kind of gravitate toward the all or nothing. So it's really helpful when you kind of can set this up, and then you can look back and go, oh, okay, well, 5 of the days this month I had a panic attack, but most of the rest of the days it was low or none, right? So it wasn't quite as much as maybe I thought. So yeah, so you can have, so this was set up panic, high, moderate, scattered, low, and none. Another thing that I've done in the past is done a learning goals tracker. So tracking different learning modalities, which aligns with my intentions for my professional goal. So this is kind of a fun thing that you could potentially track your learning goals, or how you were learning, or what you were reading. Oops, let's have a tracker. Okay. So those are the examples. We can just kind of cycle through these. I'll let you take a look. Feel free to share in the chat, and then we'll check back in here in just a few moments. Okay, so hopefully you have some ideas for how you want to use this mood tracker. Again, it doesn't have to be a mood tracker. It can be tracking lots of different things. Some people use it to track books that they're reading, activities that they're doing, all of those things, right? And I'll be honest, I see some folks in the chat saying, like, I have a really hard time. I set this up and then I don't track, or I haven't really had a lot of success with this. I'll be honest, a lot of times, like this beautiful tracker that I had set up one month, it must have been like October or something, because that's why I had the spooky skull and spider in there. I don't think I actually tracked much of anything after the first few days. I'll be honest. I spent all this time making this lovely tracker. It happens, right? And so again, the idea is, okay, maybe I don't need to track this, or maybe I need to set a timer to have myself track it, right? And just kind of figure out what works best for me. So don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to maybe try something and it doesn't work, and then you have to white out some things or track it. Or, if you don't track it, but you still set it up and it was beautiful, that's fine too, right? So let's check out our habit tracker, because I saw some folks kind of talking about, like, how does this work with this monthly circular habit tracker? So maybe we want to start some new habits. Maybe it's things we want to stop doing, habits that aren't serving us, or maybe it's things that we want to continue. So again, we can use this idea of optimism. Maybe we want to pick a theme. If you've had some habits last month and you want to bring those forward because it worked really well, bring them forward. It doesn't have to be brand new, right? And you don't have to fill in every line, right? Remember, very important. So again, remember that these habits are kind of like these little stair steps. And I like this quote about, first forget inspiration. Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. So this idea of tracking our habits is helping us do what we need to do regularly. And that's what's going to make the difference, right? That's what's going to make things change. So here's some examples, beautiful examples of how some of our Sonder Club folks have set things up with colors, different kinds of things that they're putting in here and tracking. Here's some ideas if you need some ideas of things that maybe you want to pop in there for a habit to track. And I'll cycle through these and you can take some screenshots, so this isn't the only time you'll see these lists. And then here's some other examples. And people will ask, what's the difference between the monthly one versus the weekly one? This is really things that you pretty much want to do every day this month, right? So that's the idea of this habit tracker. It's things you want to do on a daily basis. The weekly one is more for things that you maybe want to just do a couple times during the week. And really, I popped in a quote in here from Atomic Habits where he says, if you want to predict where you'll end up in life, all you have to do is follow the curve of tiny gains or tiny losses and see how your daily choices will compound 10 or 20 years down the line, right? So really think about how these daily habits are impacting your life. And sometimes they're very small, but those little small things add up. So, and again, I gave you some ideas here. There's like the December self-care checklist of things you can do, or maybe you want to start the day with something that's hygge, right? So the idea of kind of the warm, fuzzy winter months that kind of come from the Scandinavian countries, different things that maybe you want to do. Again, some more examples, new habits and old habits. And then here it is. So this is mine for this month, right? And I'm thinking about this idea of optimism. And so the top three I have are for things I want to do in the morning. The bottom three are for things that I want to do in the evening. I added a blank space and just marked through it, right? And then I marked out I highlighted the weekends, right? So I could see if some habits were easier during the week versus the weekend. You can link it back to your intentions for the month. You can focus on that theme of optimism. So the things I put was start the day with a gratitude journal. Stretch. I am doing some physical therapy for my knees, which has been working lovely. I want to keep doing that. And then I put compliment someone, right? And then in the evening, I want to make sure that I have some sort of a screen-free hobby that I can do, that I can work on without computer, cell phone, etc. A hot cocoa wind down. I have this kind of sleepy time cocoa that I want to do, and then celebrate daily wins, right? So those are kind of my things. You can have one. You can have just one thing listed. Absolutely fine, right? You can have two things listed. And I strongly suggest that for folks who are new, that maybe you only focus on tracking two at a time. So then you just kind of can see some people draw like cool little pictures. Some people will use the little dot stickers to kind of fill those in. Where's another one? And then some people, again, kind of like the little pictures, or sometimes I just do a little X, right? I just kind of make a little X in the box, that kind of thing, right? See if there's another. Yep. And then those are kind of blank. So you can kind of see those. So I will be quiet. I will let you work on this. Again, you can take some screenshots, get some ideas. The other thing too is in the Sonder Club app, there is a place where you can go to get inspirational ideas, and you can see lots of examples of what folks have done there as well. So I will let you work on this. I will check back in, and then we'll wrap things up. Oh, right. So how did we do? Did we come up with some habits that we want to track for this month? Again, sometimes just the tracking of them helps you see the consistency piece, right? And again, maybe you focus on one, maybe you focus on two, maybe you add one in the middle of the month that you decide you wanted to track. Again, it really is this is a good place to experiment, right? So again, remember that whole idea at the beginning that we were talking about, that what if this works, what if this is really good for me, what if this provides me a lot of insight into kind of how things are going. So I love that you were able to kind of get some ideas there. Is this Oh, the very first, like, Katie, well, oh, this one, got it. Okay, perfect. Um, so believe it or not, we have come to the end of our time. I know these hours, and this one's an hour and 15 minutes. They always go by so quickly, but I'm so glad that you spent a little bit of time with us. You were able to get that December journal kind of set up. We start on Sunday, right? And love if you can share your planner in Sonder Club. You do not have to, but again, it is lovely. All these examples we got from real life people. So just like you. So we love when you can share and we can see these in there. We do have a few other folks doing some monthly setups. So if you go into Eventbrite, you'll see some of our different facilitators that are doing the setup. So you're welcome to join those as well. If you say, hey, I need a little bit more time to work on this, and you'll get some other ideas for them because they'll have some different examples as well. So you can always do that. And then just a real quick, because I told you I would kind of talk about this, and someone mentioned in the chat that they had been using this to help them with their page. The cool thing is this, our personalized life coach idea. You can say, help me with a journaling prompt or help me with a journaling page. And you can actually take a picture of your journal page and it will give you these ideas based on your strengths and your profile that you filled out. So Karen's popping in some links in there right now about some of the different sales that they're working on right now. I'm sure you will get emails about some of our Black Friday sales and those kinds of things, but it is a really cool program, and they do have the code right now to get $100 off your first 3 months. And then after that, it'll be 50%. And if you have any questions, specifically if you have questions maybe around price or what it looks like in terms of if you sign up but you need to cancel, those kinds of things, those all go. You can send them to hello@silkandsonder.com, but you can also send them to the email that Karen popped in there, that concierge@silkandsonder.com, because they will focus specifically on the life coach program. So thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your evening, a great weekend. Maybe you're off tomorrow, so you're going to go maybe watch a movie or maybe go shopping or maybe just sit and relax, right? Finish filling out your December journal. So thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you again hopefully soon.
Think about it. There must be a higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is a wasted time. Look inside your heart and I look inside mine. Things look so bad everywhere in this whole world. What is fair? We walk the line and try to